Hello and welcome to the weekend preview. This week we're doing it in the flesh down at sunny Ballarat. Calvin, how are you feeling, mate? It's the sun's out this morning.
Yeah, mate. It was actually very nice this morning, but bit of a cool change has come now, and we've got the puffer jackets on as we can see. But it's nice to be here.
And before we get on to this weekend's runners, we'd like to touch on, I suppose, as a business, we're a big supporter of off-the-track programs. Racing Victoria and Racing Australia are doing a huge amount of work to make sure our horses, after their racing career is finished, they get to safe homes. And I'd just like to ask Cal, from our side of a business perspective, what do we do to ensure horses get to a safe home after their racing careers?
Yeah, look, it's very important, Jack. You know, they're great servants to us throughout their career and give us great highs, and we are always making sure that our horses are going to the right homes post their racing career. And a lot of the time, we've got a lot of staff and a lot of people want to sort of, they like that, you know, they get their favourites and they follow their career, and when it comes to the end, they're really keen to take them home. So that's a good result, and if not, we always send them to a rehomer. But what Racing Australia and everyone is doing is super, especially with the traceability.
And if you want to hear more about that and see what a great job Racing Australia and Racing Victoria are doing, you can go to ottcommunity.com.au to have a bit of a look at that. Now let's move on to the runners, Calv. We've been very busy this morning. We had 17 jump out here at Ballarat on the Poly. In the next, I think you touched on it last week, in the next sort of month or two, we're going to have a lot of horses racing. Do you have a couple that the owners can put in their black book from this morning?
Yeah, look, we had a really nice morning. I think the standout was probably a 3-year-old filly called Maha. She's already performed at a good level. She's heading to the races later in the month at Caulfield in a 1100 metre 3-year-old fillies race. So keep an eye on her. A couple of nice 2-year-olds went around this morning that are going to be looking for a race now, with the likes of Tycoon's Girl, Hurtle, Newlong Jet, those sort of horses. So we had a nice morning. And I think the next couple of weeks are going to be really exciting. We're going to have a lot of bullets to fire.
Now, before we move on to the weekend, do we have a little fill-up, a little Friday fill-up? We got the one runner down at Geelong, race 2, in a 2-year-old maiden. First starter, 6 senses.
Yeah, really nice filly. She's owned by Bruce Wilson and the team at Glentree there. And look, she's by So You Think. We're running her over 1200. She's taken us to the races. She's been a little bit sharper than your typical So You Think horse, but she'll be going there. We've drawn a bad gate. We'll probably go back, get some cover, teach her a little bit, and she'll be hitting the line strongly. Probably not a bet, but it'll be a nice educational run, and she's a filly that's going to continue to get better.
Now we'll move on to Saturday's racing. We've got the Group 1 Goodwood. We're well placed, Carl, with 3 runners, but first, I'd like to move on to our first runner. We've got 5 runners for the day. This mare's been super, been following her all prep. She's been a bridesmaid her last 2 starts. I talk about Shop Till I Drop. She's in race 6, the Centura Stakes, at listed grade. How is she placed? Over the 2014 metres as well, out to that sort of right distance you would have thought.
Absolutely, yeah, look, really nice mare, coming off a tendon injury. We sort of thought she'd take a couple of runs to get to her peak fitness-wise to be very competitive. That's why we penciled this race in to be third up, 2000. It's the perfect race for her, and she's nearly won her last 2 starts, so she's exceeded all expectations this prep so far, and I'm hoping Graham and Linda Huddy reap the rewards on Saturday with getting a stakes bet.
She's $3.60 with Sportsbet for the punters out there. We move on to the big one, the Goodwood. We've got 3 runners. This is a $500,000 race at Group 1 level. Graham and Linda, the first runner we'll speak about, have a runner in Pretty Brazen, who was unreal last start, I thought.
Yeah, ran really well. She's a 7 furlong horse that we're running over 1200. We're chasing that Group 1 victory, and she was super in the Sangster, ran 4th, got back. It was her first proper sharp run at Group 1 level in this over this trip. So now that she's had that run, I think she'll improve again. Luke Curry back on board. Yeah, she's going really nicely, and probably overs. I think she'll run a really nice race.
Yeah, and Cal mentioned that last start. just missed out on the place, but was around that $30 mark, $26 again if you want to have another crack, punters. Now, our next one I want to talk about, we talked about in the car yesterday, and I wanted you to speak about this horse on air. Savatoux XL, come from the dirt where the weather's a little bit different to
Very
this.
different to this.
Up north, I don't know if they've seen rain or clouds up that way, but tell us a little bit about this horse and its journey to our stable, and then obviously a journey into being prominent in the market in a Group 1 race.
Yeah, look, he's been a really good horse for us. Obviously, he was a terrific horse in his own right up north and won a lot of races, and they stretched him out from 1,000 to 2,000, and was just a very versatile horse. And the owners entrusted us to send him to us to try and win a Balaclava Cup, which we had a good go at, and he ran third. He led for a long way and looked the winner, and just tired a little bit late at the end of that mile. And since that, we've sort of been learning a lot about him. And he worked out that he's probably a sprinter, and he loves to get out there, roll along, not try and ride a race on him. He sort of has got a very high cruising speed, and he can quicken off it. So, albeit it's a big step up for him, Jack. We won the Goodwood a couple of years ago with a horse called Dispatch coming through the same race, the Mackay, and I think this horse profiles really well. He's drawn well, he'll jump, he'll find that rail, and if he can provide a good kick, there's worse long shots in Group 1s, I tell you.
And he's around an $18 chance for the punters there. And off air, I know you were talking to one of your punting mates or one of our owners, prominent owners, who had him marked a lot shorter. So might be one to get on a bit early, punters. Now we'll move on to our third runner in the Goodwood, Dollar for Dollar, the old boy. You'd say he'd be a little bit disappointing this prep, but has had a few excuses. Last preparation was extremely unlucky not to win a race and a big race at that.
Yeah, I think he won $600,000 prize money without winning last prep. So, but look, he's a bit like his younger half sister, Pretty Brazen. They're running against each other. Their prime trip is 1400. We're chasing that Group 1 victory with him. Came off a very poor last start, but came out of that race with some issues. He jarred right up in his back, and look, when horses jar up in their backs, they're smart. They'll protect themselves, and he's been a horse that we've always had to manage his back. We thought we had it right going into that race, but it wasn't. He came out of it very sore, and that's a genuine excuse for a poor run. He's a good space between runs, had a good gallop, racecourse gallop with G-Tra and free of debt last week, and he's got to step up a little bit, but he's deserved of his chance. He's twice Group 1 placed, and if he shows up in his career best form, he won't run a bad race at all.
And he's at around the $40 to $50 mark out there, punters, so maybe worth a little nibble each way. We'll now move on to the Get Out Stakes, race 9, a benchmark 64 over the 1,200 metres, where we have the Natural, who's fourth up this preparation. A win in between, which was really nice at Cranbourne, where she never really looked like losing.
No, that's right, and she was very disappointing last start here at Ballarat. Couldn't put my finger on anything there. So look, her work earlier in the week here was super. Blinker's back on. She's got to carry a bit of weight. I wanted to find a claimer, but I think there's 2 claiming apprentices at the meeting, so we were left to carry some weight, 61, but she's down in grade, benchmark 64, hence the weight, and she left here in really good order this morning, and she'll bowl around. She'll be up on the pace, and with the blinkers back on, I'm hoping for a bold performance.
And she's a $7 chance with Sportsbet for the punters out there. We've got a few runners on Sunday at Bendigo. There's one filly that I'd like to talk about. She's a well-bred filly out of Spendthrift Park. What can you tell us about her, and can we have a bit of a Sunday fun day fill up with her?
Yeah, look, she's a nice filly called Mac and Cheese, owned by Spendthrift and by Sebring. She's a really nice filly. She's a half to Exceedance and Oxley Road.
Yep.
She's well bred, as you said, and both her jump outs have been really good. She's very raw. She's not the finished product at all. She's running an 1100 metre 2-year-old filly's maiden on Sunday at Bendigo, but I think she's a nice filly for the future. She'll probably get back in this race, and I'm hoping can weave her way through and hopefully over the top of them but she looks to have a bright future, and we've got a couple of other runners there as well on Sunday, and I think we'll be around the mark all day, so you can follow us there.
And the odds aren't out at the moment for Sunday's meeting, but definitely keep a close eye on our runners. Well, Cal, you're probably going to head off to the beach and go for a swim, mate, and try and get a bit of tan going. But thanks very much for your time. Before we let you go, who's the best? You got $100 to play with. Who's it going on?
That's a hard one. Look, I think the safe bet is Shop Till I Drop, but I'd certainly be keeping something in the back pocket for a little each way play on Savvy 2XL.
Perfect. Well, thanks for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. And to the viewers out there, hopefully you got some nice insight, and happy punch.